still fun that it counts down. It's the pre-show, which isn't very interesting. It's just making sure all the things are pulled up, and Matt lets us talk randomly to people. So, hi, Matt. Good morning.
Hi, Matt.
Yes. Let's do it. Greetings, true believers, and welcome to episode 83 of the Pull List Podcast, a bi-weekly show about comics, pop culture, and faith. My name is Chris Poirier, and with me, as always, is the one, the only. He's got something weird on his head. Hector!
I'm no Jedi.
You're no Jedi.
Insert lightsaber noises.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because I need to change my lightsaber batteries.
And if you listen to the podcast, this is confusing, but that's fine. Hector's got some rad headgear on, so you're just going to have to go over to YouTube and see what that's all about.
Or the socials.
Yeah, or the socials. That's true. He takes pictures of things.
And just go to the socials and then backdate like 3 days through all the millions of memes that I've posted since then.
Right. Because when we say this, it's actually Friday as opposed to Wednesday. So, yeah, you do the math. Yeah. Math's hard. I guess we have some comics to talk about. So strap yourselves in and prepare yourselves, for we've got comic sign.
Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better bring necks on. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son.
This is where Matt inserts really cool like graphics and stuff now.
That's a genius.
He is a genius. That's why we love him. And this is going to be one of those episodes where we talk about our producer a lot. So here we go.
Like on a real. Now I know you're about to adult and talk about comics and stuff.
Fine.
It would be a really fun thing to have like an LTN studio, like where we actually recorded and did podcasts live, kind of like how Kevin Smith turned. I don't know if you know this, if you've paid attention to this. You know the gas station that he films Clerks and stuff at, like the original one. Okay, he bought all that.
Oh yeah, I had heard that.
And he turned the other half of the building structure, like next to it, into a podcasting theater. It's called the Smodcast.
Yeah, I was going to say the Smodcast. Yep.
And I got to see that. That was pretty neat.
That's dope.
But yeah, we need like an LTN style Smodcastle where we all gather and record and do like live things, and it'd be cool if we actually like could fly out like for an occasion and record like a couple weeks worth of content all live and in person and do stuff. And
well, there you go, Matt. Get on it. Should only cost $1. All right, let's do it. On today's episode,
now talk about comics.
Yeah, okay, comics. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about Kevin Smith and the Smodcast.
Yes.
No, sorry. We're going to talk about the latest news that you need to know, our poll recommendations from the past couple of weeks, our favorite new number ones, and so very much more. Hopefully, at least. This is the Pull List Podcast. I guess I should save it for the rest of the podcast. I said hopefully because there's a reason to that, and I guess we'll get to it at the polls because we do have some serious adult conversations for today, for the industry.
Explicit.
No, not explicit. No,
not explicit.
Not explicit. This is family friendly. How dare you?
Explicitly for families.
That makes it better. Okay, that's fine. So let's talk about some news first, and then we can get into kind of a condition of the industry, because we're back to one of those moments of we should talk about what's going on around us.
Marvin Gaye lyrics.
No?
What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. What's going on? I was trying not to get sued, but whatever, man.
Here we are. So YouTube hates us anyway. Why not?
Do they?
Do they though? So some news.
Is that propaganda?
Could be. Anyway, I said lots of cool things about Jeff Lemire last time. I want to do it again because he's doing cool stuff. I was flipping through some news and I saw that an OGN, or an original graphic novel, if you will, is coming later in the year.
That's a lame acronym.
What, OGN? Yeah.
It sounds like a K-pop band.
Right. But the reason it exists is because people get confused with like graphic novel, which technically is a trade. They came up with OGN to differentiate it as no, an OGN actually is a standalone story that didn't pre-exist in
Paper format?
floppies and stuff like that. So it's weird.
So it's a graphic novel that had no prior existence, even in
Right.
comic book format.
Right. It just is.
Okay. Fair.
Right.
Still.
No,
Go on.
there technically is a point to it. And I was reading, kind of the byline on this new OGN called Cosmic Detective. A, that title. But then B, it said featuring Jeff Lemire, Matt Kent, and David Rubin. And I went, what? Tell me more. Especially from the perspective of Jeff and Matt could either be writing or drawing or vice versa, and it still be good.
Yeah. There's a lot of possibilities in that.
Right. I was like, oh dang. That said, I do believe taking a look over everything. It's definitely got the Matt Kent art vibe versus the Lemire art vibe. And yeah, it's kind of about this detective-y / magic / sci-fi / everything kind of noir-ish tale. And sure, a lot of this is going on right now, I feel like, in comics.
There's there's a girthy amount of noir and a lot of facets going on right now. And it's not all bad.
No.
I'm still waiting on Gotham Year 1 to finish because I actually enjoyed that.
Sure.
But whatever.
Yeah. And I also think like this whole thing of fantasy brought into like the future is like the vibe of like a bunch of books right now, because I'm about to put another book on my poll from this week that's basically that vibe. So I guess good job, comic book industry. You found the thing that we all want to do this year. I don't know, but that creative team is something that I want to read and take a look at. So September is when that book's going to drop. And what's cool about it is, like I said, it's going to be a one and done. You're going to be able to pick it up, read it, and go, yay, or that was a thing, and move on. And every now and then, I'm all about that. That waiting for serial art sometimes just kind of sucks.
Well, and there's plenty of people that like won't read comics because they're impatient.
That's fair. Yeah, it's like I have to wait a year for this to do a thing. Yep. Possibly longer.
Dude, we started Human Target like 3 years ago. Not even joking. I think that's accurate, isn't it?
I'd have to look at it. It definitely. Oh, wow.
I think Human Target started in 2020. 2021 at the latest.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Yeah, that happens. So that's good. Lots of other interesting things. Oh wow, I'm going to talk a lot about. Well, not a lot, but a little bit about some Marvels. So, Incredible Hulk is coming back.
Yeah, I guess they really jumped the shark with the whole Bruce Banner as a spaceship thing.
Well, Donnie Cates.
Donnie Cates.
Just if you were confused why we were randomly in space, Donnie Cates.
Donnie Cates.
And I am not familiar with the artistic team, creative team here at all. Philip Kennedy Johnson is writing and Nick Klein is drawing. Nick is the cool thing here is Nick is one of the Stormbreakers. So if I need to pause for a moment, I can explain this. Stormbreaker for Marvel this time around was their new hot artist collective. So once a year, they usually do a thing where it's Stormbreaker. I think it had a different name in the past, where they put together a class of like 6 to 12 artists and writers and give them like covers or mini stories and go, these are the new up and comers type thing. So this is technically a graduate of that program that's going on to a mainline story arc. So part of my brain says
Stormbreaker sounds like the name you would give a children's class in like a Baptist church that's trying not to be a Baptist church.
right.
Hey, we don't have Awana. We have
Stormbreakers.
Stormbreakers.
I mean, it's I suppose the unfortunate part about it is it's kind of in that vibe, because they're like, let's give him a cool Thor name that's cool and it's breaking now and it's awesome.
We're going to call our next series of artists the 43rd Unwanted X-Men book. Go on.
Hey, don't steal my news. I got to get to that. So Incredible Hulk's coming back. That's coming back in June. So we have a number 1 from Marvel to take a look at in June and see what's going on there. Of course, that means that's probably going to be towards the edge of their X-Men Avengers Hate Each Other Part 7 summer series, probably. So
I think it's accurate. I think we are on like 7 of those.
I have no idea, but it's a lot. Here, I threw in a little bit of TV news because it is adjacent for us this week. But I had missed part of this conversation, so now we can find out whether you were up to date on it more than I was. But HBO Max was supposed to release, it's not quite a sequel, but it's more of a successor to Batman the Animated Series. Bruce Timm was attached. And HBO Max said, nah, they decided not to. And
it's going to Amazon's.
Right. It's going to go to Amazon instead. And Amazon said, we'll give that two seasons. And yeah, so I'm assuming that means we're getting that animation style, and probably it hasn't been super clear, but it's called Batman the Caped Crusader.
He has a strong year 1 vibe in the graphic aesthetic. Like,
okay.
Not even year 1, like day 1.
Ooh. So we
like the curved cowl, like he's probably got purple gloves and a gun type situation.
I just need to know, are we going to Crime Alley for the 4,763rd time?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, fine. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I don't know if there is a timeline attached to that project yet. Oh, they're saying, well, it was going to be pulled. Yeah, no timeline yet. Just that they have picked up, and hopefully that will continue on in a semi-positive direction. I mean, it's already positive in that it didn't go away. But I did promise you some Marvel news when you tried to steal my thunder.
You know why I tried to steal your thunder?
Because
I'm a Stormbreaker, baby. Shazam.
Shazam Lee.
By the way, I'm just going to say this on the record. If you've been following our podcasts, or even like my writing or anything for the last 4 or 5 years, Shazamly is now a word that is collectively and frequently used in the DC universe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's used in the movie. It's used in the comics.
All the marketing.
The marketing.
Yeah.
And I say this, and I genuinely believe this. I think I'm the first person I ever heard use that word.
You heard it here first.
Like, I genuinely do think you heard it here first. Like I think I called it Shazamly, like on a whim, talking to you on here. Like, I think I not coined that phrase, but I think I was the first person to use that phrase outside of a whispered marketing meeting, because they didn't use that phrase in the first movie.
No,
but I did. And like the chapter in Faith and Fandom on the first Shazam is called Shazamily Matters. Or something in there. Like, but whatever. Carry on.
Okay. All right.
By the way, Shazam comes out in theaters this week, kids. Go watch it.
Yay, go watch it. We'll wait with bated breath to see if DC serves us with a cease and desist. That's fine.
I'm on their pay roster, so what's up? You know,
Oh, that's right. That's Hector as seen on DC's The Swamp Thing.
as received a paycheck and then told never bother us again from
DC Swamp Thing, yeah. So yes, Marvel news. I know you care a great deal about the condition of the X-Men in the status quo.
I actually do care about the X-Men.
Well, great. I guess they needed more bad guys.
Yes, fair.
So
because all the bad guys are on their team now.
I guess it's true.
Apocalypse, Sinister, Magneto are literally all on their squad roster.
Yeah, well, Magneto was right. So
go on.
What? Kingpin and Typhoid Mary, I guess, have decided they're going to join the X-Men side of the universe in being bad peoples.
Is this like a trade marketing thing with Emma? Is this like
I don't literally I saw the headline, I read the thing, and I was like, except that they're not really enemies. They're doing this. No, well, there's that, but they're also doing the thing of like they're technically gonna help. So it's also like, well, wait, are none of the bad guys actually bad guys? But yeah, they're going to the island, which is a thing in and of itself.
Well, I do enjoy that because that's literally how we bid Wilson Fisk farewell at the end of the Daredevil run, is him and Typhoid Mary getting on a boat. So okay,
so
go on.
This is the deal. Apparently they're headed there, and I guess this technically is like another attempt of a redemption arc. And so yeah, like the end of the article literally talks about Apocalypse, Shadow King, everyone else is like chilling and they're all on the same side now, so
this is it's the island of misfit toys.
Yeah. So
I'm at a show with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio this month, by the way.
Noise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess Marvel is just going to send all of their villains to the X-Men Island and everything's going to be great. And then all of them are going to fight the Avengers because the Avengers are now the bad guys.
The Avengers have always been the bad guys. Come on.
Okay.
You heard Ultron. So Croatia, or Croatoa, the X-Men island, is now basically just Australia.
Oof. History.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, kids, Australia used to be a penal colony. Carry on.
But it was redeemed, so that's the point of the story.
And so was Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister, apparently. Go on.
Yeah, here we are. And to wrap out your news, I figured I would give you something that's actually funny. And not Chris attempting to rap a rhyme.
You said you were going to wrap out the news. I was going to give you a tasty beat.
Oh, right. to rap a rhyme.
But it is tricky.
It is tricky. That's
now,
right.
I mean, if you're really going to do that,
to make it right on time.
It is to make it right on time. That is tricky. I mean, if you're really going to bust out a rap, though, I would literally go get like my little turntables and go ahead and ticky.
So, I think we've mentioned this in the past but you might have to go way back. But Tom King is a writer.
I have heard that.
Right. Did you know he does sketch covers at conventions?
I believe I've seen these. Yes, I have.
So Tom King does stick figure sketch covers at conventions, and it has become a thing over the years of him literally doing these really, something that Hector and Chris are capable of producing.
Probably not as good as we can do, but go on.
Yeah. Well, Tom King and I are definitely on the same stick figure level for sure.
I think I have one. I think I've got like a blank covered Batman that he did.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So they've decided for, I believe, April 11th is the drop date for a bunch of DC books. So they've dubbed that April Fool's Day Tom King's variant covers. So they're having him do his style for the variants of Batman 135, The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing #7, and Danger Street #5. And that might be it. But a handful of DC books at the beginning of April, the first 2 weeks, will feature Tom King's lovely stick figure art for your money.
Okay.
And that is both brilliant and sad at the same time.
And on the covers notes, are you familiar with the meme? I'm gonna end this man's whole career.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Those okay. That is cover A of Nightwing 104. They're remaking that meme
Oh, that's
of
good.
and the guy just like posing in the back. They're doing that with the Titans and Nightwing. So if you are a fan of Nightwing, which you should be, Chris,
Yeah, fine.
read the books.
Yeah, fine.
Do it. Read the books.
He said, do it.
If you're a fan of Nightwing, especially the recent arc, or a fan of meme culture, you're going to want to pick up Nightwing 104, the A cover. I went ahead and went by my local shop and made sure that that's the cover I was getting. So
that's that. Well, that's valuable news right there. I'm not even going to lie about it. So
listen, because if you're meme culture, because I memes are part of my nutritional balance.
Yeah, you just said memes are life, friend.
Memes are life. By the way, did you know that Danny Rojas was an actual professional football player before this?
Huh. I did not.
Yeah, I saw an interview. He played where, by the way, Ted Lasso starts next week.
Yep.
Ruha. But no, he was a professional football player in Mexico or South America from 15 up.
Huh.
So I think he had literally retired from football before this. But like, so all the soccer-y things you see him doing, he's doing.
Okay.
Like the goalpost notches and everything. That's all him.
Well, comics are life.
Oh, and this is also news that's nerdy and Ted Lasso related. Todd McFarlane is doing a Ted Lasso figure.
Huh.
A single Ted, not a series, but there's a single Ted Lasso figure being made by Todd McFarlane.
I mean, that checks out. Todd makes all of the figures these days.
Yes, but I am very much looking forward to this one.
Yeah, so. There you go. So, well, I mean, I guess that's what you need to know. And that's our bi-weekly look at the industry, delivering you some inside knowledge or just random interesting facts about DC and Marvel and everyone else in between. As always, you can join in on the conversation with Hector and I and all of your nerdy friends on the Love Thy Nerd Discord or over in our Facebook community. And, well, just jump on in and begin your nerdy adventure together with us. Tell us what you liked, what you hated, or possibly even what we missed, because we definitely missed something, because there's lots of stuff going on out there. And we're only two nerds, and that's just how it is. So let's transition into talking about some of them comic books.
Before we hit that, I just want to say this too. If anybody watches this Gotham Knights show, I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I love myself too much.
Please tell us whether we've made a grave mistake or if Hector warned you.
Jesus didn't redeem me for that. It ain't happening.
Oof.
No. I love Misha Collins, and I want to support him having his own show post Supernatural, but no.
But also,
all right.
No.
Where are we at? Comics?
Yeah, let's talk about the comics.
Me? You?
Yeah, let's start with you, and then I'll explain.
All right.
Life as it happened.
I'm gonna hit off with the obvious ringer for all the things I talk about. Human Target number 12, the end of the Human Target run. There are 13 issues total in the series if you include the one shot that happened somewhere in the mid grade of it. And this was great. I was a Human Target fan before this book. I was a fan of the show.
You were a
Human
nerd.
Target's
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I even like some of the Human Target from like way back. So like, it's a good storyline. This played out like a good mystery, a gritty noir in the DC universe. Some of the romance and relational dialogue in this was some of the best ever. It's one of the best uses of Guy Gardner in modern comic book history,
Mm.
Which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the best use of fire and ice I've read in a comic book. Like the two Justice League characters. I don't think I've seen Fire and Ice get any attention since like Batman the Animated Series or the Justice League Unlimited series, and this is the best use of that. Did you read this?
No, I got distracted, so I feel like I need to go back and read it as a single piece.
Yeah, I would recommend it. And I don't want to spoil it, but like, yeah, it's got an ending that I think is suitable. And because it is fresh, I don't want to spoil it because it would be a plot twisty ending. But yeah, Human Target, it's Tom King. I'd say it's Tom King at his best.
Ooh.
Because it's like it's on par with Tom King best, because we hit strides. Like we'll have, Vision, and then, dragging your dead mom through the desert, or we'll have, you know Mr. Miracle, and then we'll have Strange Adventures. So it's not always, or Batman Catwoman. Well, there's hit and misses. This is a hit. This is worth your read, and this is probably a lot more palatable than Mr. Miracle for the average comics reader. Because this is still going to be immersed in the DC proper with characters you recognize. But all you need to know is Chance is a gangster, and it's kind of where it goes. So, Human Target number 12. This is the end of the series. It was worth it. So, yes, that's a thing. I'm gonna jump over to Zdarsky's Batman.
Okay.
And put this on the list. Just because I stated before that Zdarsky's second run on Batman is definitely better than his first. Like, this alternate world deal he's doing is way better than Failsafe killing the Justice League.
Right.
This is Bruce in a world where Bruce Wayne was murdered at an early age. Alfred's still alive. Everybody. This is what Gotham would have been like without Bruce Wayne and without Batman. And it's still weird. Some people are different. Some people are like Two-Face's on Venom.
Yeah, it's probably important to note, because you're going to mention another DC book, and I'm going to mention one as well, is we are in the beginning of their whole transition point. So we're in the dawn of DC now, which is very multiversal and everything. So all the books have this, who are you? And everybody pointing at each other thing going on. It's Batman's leading into it, but Dawn of DC is happening right now. So once Batman officially hits the quote unquote restart quote unquote point, you'll see Dawn of DC show up at the top of the book. But it's clear it's taking place in the time. It's getting there, and they've kind of explained that, unlike Rebirth, where they went boom, every single book hits number one, and like the new Rebirth thing starts. All these are kind of transitioning from where they were to the Dawn of DC and all of that.
So it's an easy thing for them to take Batman to another dimension, so that when he comes back, we can be like,
Yep.
hey, look, the world's a little different. But there's just some good stuff in there. But it's very much a Batman of Zero and R vibe, which is funny because I think we also mentioned that in Failsafe. But back to Grant Morrison's Batman of Zero and R with Batman Rest in Peace. This is Bruce in a world without a Bruce. He forms a new Batman costume, which looks like a kid's bicycle helmet. Not even joking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's trying, but one plot point in this one is he needs to dig up dead Bruce's body so that he can figure out what killed him. so that he knows who he's fighting. And
That
I'm like, that sounds like the dumbest plot point, but I'm going to roll with it because it gives you the moment of Bruce
Yep.
meeting Alfred at Bruce's grave and having a Bruce Alfred moment, which was sweet.
Which was pretty much a Bruce Alfred moment. It's the one you wanted, but with grave robbing himself.
Yeah. Like, you couldn't have just asked Alfred. And again, Alfred wasn't a superhero butler, so he wouldn't have been looking. But yeah, this is a fun Batman read. This is only like 3 issues deep into this storyline, so you can jump in like issue 130, maybe 131, wherever it started, and still pick it up and not need a lot to know a lot, because once the failsafe arc ended, it actually was a fresh start. I'm enjoying this. So there's that. And so I missed this, I guess, when it originally dropped, but the 4th issue of the Fantastic Four storyline that we've been discussing being good lately dropped. Are you up to date on these?
I'm not, but it's another one that I got to go back and refill the gaps of, oh, right, I did like this.
Yes. So the 4th and 5th issue are out. The 4th is my pick. Because I feel I enjoyed the 4th more than the 5th. The 5th was still fine, but the reason the 4th is important is because it actually tells us what happened.
Okay.
Because if you pick up the first 3 issues, the Fantastic Four is scattered. They're all in different spots, and there's a giant crater in New York, and apparently everybody hates them, and we didn't know why.
Correct.
Considering we're 2 issues past this now, I'm not going to call this spoilers, but I know it's going to spoil it for you. But you could take one for the team.
Yep. I'm a big boy. I'll be all right.
So the reason, and you're going to appreciate the tension this puts on all the rest of the book, and it's going to put a lot more of things in context. Something was attacking the Baxter building, like some force that they were dealing with, and some really bad crap was going to happen on a universal scale if this bad got their hands on everything in the building and all the jazz. And so it wasn't something they could stop. They didn't have time to call in for reinforcements. Reed had, let's say, a 30-second window to make a split decision that was going to change all of their lives.
That's very Fantastic Four.
It is very Fantastic Four. It is fantastic. And it's for that reason that bad jokes. Listen to my puns. But no, he makes the decision that the best thing that he can do to save the people and to stop the bad guys is to shift the entire Baxter building in time and space. So he shifts the bad guys to a point in the future where the Earth has rotated to a different point and has basically left them in the middle of space. So he fast forwards them, like, let's say 40 days into the future.
Okay.
Where the Earth isn't where it currently is.
Right, because physics got it.
Yeah, and they play physics into a big part.
Yep.
But to do this, the only way they could do it was to send the Baxter building a full year into the future. So that it's in the same spot.
Right.
All of their kids are in the building.
Physics.
All of the kids are in the building. And for the kids, they're not going to know they were gone a year.
Right.
They're just going to get blipped into the future. But that means the families, because it wasn't just their kids in the building. That means that the families of these kids have to spend a whole year without their kids, missing a year of their kids' grow, and knowing their kids are all alone in the future without having that opportunity. So the world's cheesed at them, obviously.
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
it caused division within the Fantastic Four and all that stuff. So it's a very Fantastic Four setup, but I feel like it's a good payoff. So literally, if I only read the first 4 issues of this, I would have been okay.
Right.
Now I added it to my pulls. Not Magikarp. I added it. It's a 3D printed Magikarp I ordered from a friend on TikTok. So I'm like, please don't die.
This is
But
why
it
we can't
landed
have
on my
nice
boot.
things. That's fine.
Huh?
This is why we can't have nice things.
No, it's because I like to make little dioramas for my podcast times.
For the podcast.
Because Wolverine's flying through the earth. So yeah, it's great. Now, I think Chris and I are in the same boat. If we don't genuinely have 4 good pulls this month or this 2 weeks,
this week we're on a schedule. We're on weeks.
yeah. And if I were to stop my pulls at what I thought was great, it stops there.
It ends there.
I'm going to hit on a book, and I'm not normally negative per se, and I'm not really pooping on this, but I need to negatively nerd out for a moment. Batman and Robin number 5, which you'll hear lots of positive talk about, World's Finest and Lazarus Planet stuff from a lot of our nerdy friends across the board who have given high praise to Mark Waid and what he's done with this.
Yep.
I love this story. I've had 2 of these books on my pulls, like, as the story's gone on. I think at least the first 3 were part of my pulls. I enjoyed where the direction of this whole book went. My problem is the ending. And I'm not that I'm gonna say spoilers, but you know what? It's gonna be spoiled when you read it anyway.
We're gonna rip this Band-Aid off for you right now.
So the whole storyline, World's Finest to this, and all the crossovers, Monkey Prince, all the thing, is that Neza and King Firebull,
oh right, yeah,
were part of the process of stealing all the magic from around the world and trying to harness it, which caused the Lazarus lava planet stuff to happen. All this being said, this is the end of the story. They defeat Neza. They defeat King Fireball. They do all the things they're supposed to do. Once again, the day is saved thanks to the Powerpuff Girls. It's over. But one of the processes in the storyline is that Batman is mortally wounded, and Batman's going to die. Neza possesses Batman's body. And Neza's possession is the only thing that's keeping Batman's body held together with duct tape. Damian does the thing of, we got to stop my dad because he's going to end the world. Because Neza with Batman, equals the end of the world.
Okay.
Because he's Batman. And so Damien's like, we gotta stop my dad. And so he makes the plan that he is going to have all the magic peoples remove the magic, banish Neza, and his game plan is to trade his life essence for Bruce's so that he can sacrifice his life for his dad. They do all the things, and then they get to the end. They're like, oh, sorry, buddy. That won't work. And so we're watching Batman die, which we know is hot garbage because Batman's not going to die. There's no point in any part of reading the story. Anybody's like, oh no, are they really killing it? Nobody was concerned about this. There's 93 Batman books. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so Chris, to save the day, do you watch Doctor Who? You don't watch Doctor Who.
I've watched a bit. I'm not up to date, but
did you watch through season 3?
Yes.
David Tennant, Martha, the whole deal.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm tracking. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So Whovians, season 3 finale. the Doctor has been aged to the point he's about to disintegrate and die. With me? He looks like Dobby or whatever at that point.
Yeah.
And Martha Jones walks the entire Earth telling the story of Batman. Not telling the story of the Doctor. Telling the story of the Doctor so that everyone has the Doctor in their hearts. And they lend the Doctor their love from all across time and space. And he's regenerated back to his normal health.
And his heart embiggened.
His heart embiggens. And he goes back to normal. Because they all thought of him. And they all loved him. And golly gee, Batman.
Golly gee.
That was enough. And much also like the essence of when Goku had a spirit bomb. And Goku had a spirit bomb and he held up his hands. People of Earth, lend me your energy. Like, and everybody on Earth went, here, energy.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh. Damien gets on the internet.
No.
Damien gets on the internet and says, my dad saved the world 49 billion times. In order to keep him alive, you all need to give a fraction of your soul. And if you willingly think, I am Batman. Or, I believe in Batman. It was one of those. Hold on, I'm going to actually look now.
No.
It's either I am Batman or I believe in Batman. It's one or the other. They get to the point.
Remember to hashtag, kids.
It's to the point where they have to think of Batman and think warm, fuzzy thoughts. We are Batman. Excuse me.
Ugh.
Where if everyone around the world willingly sacrifices a sliver of their soul and says, we are Batman, then his soul will be duct taped together and he can come back and he has a dramatic, I'm alive now. Go? How did that happen? And literally, guys, they Tinkerbelled Batman back into life.
No, you didn't care enough. You didn't clap. Tinkerbell is dead.
Bro, they straight, listen. It literally looked like the Doctor Who season 3 finale, man. Like, and here's the deal. That's my least favorite season of Doctor Who for that reason, for that ending. That ending was so bad for season 3 of Doctor Who that I literally took my finger and went, no, Doctor Who. We don't do that. That's bad writing. And then for the end of what was a really solid cross-platform storytelling, we get Tinkerbelled. We get spirit bombed. And I'm like,
okay.
Hey, here's the deal. This issue has good things in it. This issue has quality Damien. But dude, you did not stick the landing. You did not stick the landing. And it makes me sad.
You ended up Damien by the end. And yeah.
Dude, because here's the deal. Truly, Damien, like, if we're going OG Damien, if we're going like Grant Morrison, Damien, son of Batman Damien would have a bit of like, we let my father die and we carry on his legacy. Peace out. Damien, OG Damien, would not get on the internet and plead for his father's life.
Right. Yeah. All right.
But I digress. I get growth and challenges and age and whatever. But I was like, guys, you created a problem that you didn't have to have, because if Batman was wounded by Nessie, you had every magic user in the world restored standing over him. Somebody could have done something. The internet spirit bomb was not the way to go. Okay, tell us about your comics, Chris.
Tell us about my comics. Well, I'm going to start by saying the reality of I walked into my comic shop and went, what? And I started seeing a bunch of my other friends saying similar stuff on the interwebs of going into COVID. There was a lot of concern about the condition of comic shops and the economy. And that was more so around the fact of there weren't going to be comics to sell. We had the pencils down time during COVID. So it was just difficult to bring in product. And a bunch of people rallied and they helped keep their comic book stores alive. I'm saying all this because what I'm starting to see again is, except this time it's just directly economy related and stuff costs lots of money. My dude had to tell me that he's just not ordering as much as he used to, which means he's cutting out a lot of third party and some other stuff because I'm probably the only person reading it here. And so I spent what I normally spend in a week for 2 weeks this week because I just simply didn't have stuff to get off the shelf. And Marvel and DC actually kind of, even with both of them kind of leaning in towards their summer events starting soon, I kind of had to dig deep. I didn't come up with enough books to fill my slots this week. And I just wanted to bring attention to it because, ouch, that I also had friends out west that were like, I woke up this morning and 2 of my local comic shops are gone. That even comic shop owners are now starting to look to their left and right and go, I thought we got past this. And now they're like, maybe we didn't.
If you followed this show for a while, you know that there's a while I was buying from 3 shops to try and keep them afloat. And the 2 newer shops are both gone now.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, or air quotes.
Because it do be real out in these streets is what we're seeing. So if you've got that comic shop that you love, make sure that you're finding ways to support them and whatnot. And
I destroyed all the things, which is why I'm wearing this.
It's fear. It's fear. The state of fear.
That's why I'm wearing this Fear State shirt. Because Fear State is the worst book DC put out in forever. But my local comic book shop has a rock band that birthed from it. And Fear State is their rock band. And I just don't like, are you doing, did you name yourself Fear State because you wanted to sound scary? Like, because you're that evil?
Or
that you're that
ironic?
Or is it ironic? But either way, like, I literally, dude, because I'm trying to support my local shop and their stuff, I went to a rock concert at a wrestling match inside of a flea market. Because I am supporting my local comic shops. So if you think if you think you're supporting enough and you haven't gone to a rock concert and a wrestling match in a flea market, step your game up.
Yeah, you got to step your
game up.
Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump them up a little bit.
Pump them numbers. Yeah. You got to wear a t-shirt of a band named after a bad comic book run. So maybe you want to wear a shirt that says X-Men, or
we're gonna get mail about that. That's cool.
Here's the mail. It never fails.
All right. So I guess we'll talk about the stuff that I actually did kind of enjoy then.
Let's go.
This should probably tell you a lot. But I'm a sucker for Rogue and Gambit.
Me too.
So we say lots of terrible things at times about the X-Men, but I'm still going to pick up a book that says Rogue and Gambit and has them both on the cover 100% of the time.
I bought the same thing.
And I mean, I wouldn't say it was the best comic.
It's not a great book.
It's not a great book.
It's a fine book.
It's a fun book, and it looks exactly like I kind of expect the late 90s X-Men to kind of look like.
It is 100% a 90s X-Men book with no context of anything else.
Right, and I've said this before, and I will say it again, that there are times that's enough. In comics, sometimes you just need something that is either so off the wall, you're like, none of this makes logical sense, or even has any point to any story, but you're like, boy, was that fun though. And Rogue and Gambit's going to be that, because the entire thing is basically about how those two characters play off each other, and they're there. It looks exactly like the nostalgic fiends of those of us 80s kids that love the X-Men expect it to be. So it is what it is. And I have zero shame putting that on my list for that reason.
Right.
So thanks, I guess, Marvel, for forcing me to kind of dig deep in the catalog this week, because I might have missed it otherwise, to be fair. So nailed it. I guess I also did my segment should just be called all the number ones that Chris won't read number twos of, but number one was really good.
Fair.
We're renaming the segment. It's not Chris's top four. It's Chris's number ones that may get a number two.
It's Chris's from number one to number won't.
And one of those books most likely is The Immortal Sergeant.
Anime vibes. Okay.
Yeah, no, actually, let me find it because it probably won't take me long. There's literally like the most anime thing in the world, anime shocked face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of this book is this black and white, very basic art style. And I don't know, books like this catch my attention because they're different. And this one probably could have been submitted as a storyboard and printed. But I also don't hate it as a concept. But it literally is about this super grizzled police detective sergeant that the joke is that at his local cop bar, he has a little placard over his chair that says he's immortal. And so they're like, aha, it's a joke. But they don't get to the punchline in the first book. So that kind of bothered me. But apparently, the dude just can't die. And, he's in his last week before retirement cop story kind of thing going on. But it's really off the rails, broken kind of crate. I guess, yeah. So I guess some anime vibe that it's just over the top story. So it's a mature book, but I don't know where it's going, except that apparently this cop just can't die and he doesn't want to retire. And that's basically the entire story.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a thing, right? That's a vibe. And then my last book, because I literally couldn't come up with four this week, is probably another shocker for everyone involved. But I'm getting hardcore Rebirth vibes from DC's new Dawn of DC stuff. So The Adventures of Superman, John Kent. So the John Kent Superman part of the story. A lot of people have been hating on John since John came into being, but even more so in recent time. But
well, dude, once he time traveled or got flung into the future and was not Damien's sidekick anymore, that alone was enough to cheese off people. Then you add everything else, and it's just
right. But with all the multiverse stuff going on, this one's yo. And so DC has done another classic comic book thing of where John currently sits in continuity and everything is, everybody's forgotten who I am. So his secret identity is intact again and all that. But then he gets dumped kind of into the multiverse and he runs into some other versions of himself. And one of those is a Superman named Val Zod. And all of, everyone involved goes, oh, that's not okay. And he's like, okay, I get it. He's like, I'm aware of your universe and why that's probably a bad thing. But they have a conversation because John's like, I don't jump to conclusions and stuff. And I guess there's another universal jump. Now, all the multiversal jumping that DC is going to do in this Dawn of DC thing is probably going to be bending, melding, bad, melting. One of those. But at the end of their little journey, he brings him back to Mr. Terrific. And Mr. Terrific's like, welcome to Earth. And everybody hugs it out. And that's where the book kind of ends.
Dude, my Amazon sponsored robot home person whose name I'm trying not to say. Right. I don't want her to get involved.
Yeah. We don't need that in our life.
She popped up and said, hey, by the way, you should read this book by Tom Taylor.
Right.
And recommended that book. And I'm like, what?
Tom Taylor.
And literally, I
was burying the lead. So thank you for getting, I was going to get there, but there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
was that your lead?
Yeah, no, I was going to end that whole thing with the fact that, and by the way, Tom Taylor's writing this book. And
oh, yeah. Tom Taylor's writing it. Tom Taylor's been writing John for the long while.
Yeah.
But literally, I said, hey, what's my notifications? And she's like, hey, Tom Taylor's written this new book. You should read.
And you're like, cool story.
I'm like, I make the recommendations about comics in this house.
Aw.
Robot.
So yeah, so I legit did not have a fourth book because at the 11th hour I was trying to find a copy of Jeff Lemire's Phantom Road that I told you all to read, and I couldn't, because as Hector has schooled me, because apparently I'm old and out of touch, that you literally can't buy digital stuff on a freaking iPad or phone anymore because Apple wants to protect you from yourself, apparently.
And Google, they all do.
Yes, that you'll now find a thing in Comixology and Amazon that says you can't purchase this from the app, and it's like, well, isn't that why you exist on my app?
You can't buy digital music or digital content from apps, and on that level, you got to buy it from a computer.
Yeah. Anyway, so about that.
Anyway,
I plan on catching up and reading Phantom Road so I can be like, yeah, that was a good recommendation, or wow, Chris, don't do that ever again. So my bad, but yeah, hit me with that number one, and then I'll tell you about
okay,
my giant size number one.
Let me create our cover, my cover there. So my number one. I'm gonna bleat this and substitute words just for the Christian public.
Oh my!
Spicy. Yeah, that's covered. Okay. Making sure. And literally, this is a you had me at the title situation.
Right.
That was like I read the title and I'm like, you're at least getting one issue out of me. Just for the word choices alone. But this book is called Gangster Bootied Barista. But it's profanities. But no, I walked by the shelf and I was like, what'd that say?
Yeah. One more time.
And here's the deal. The cover was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, for everything it was. It's good storytelling with the cover. Hold on. Like, each.
Well, I'm trying to remember.
It's Black Mask Studios.
Yes, and Black Mask usually does some pretty... Edgy's a good word? I don't know if that's entirely fair, but...
Yeah. But, like, so, literally, and the art is... very solid. The art is very Walking Dead.
Nice.
Like comic status. It's good. It's solid. It's crisp. Nothing crazy. Not wonky. And a lot of times when you get like you'll get a book with a good cover, and then the interior art's like hogwash.
Yeah.
The interior art's great, but basically this is the story of a frustrated barista who you find out is a former gang member of like the Sons of Anarchy Belfast, basically. She's an Irish gangster from a motorcycle gang who has restarted her life, and she's just trying to be a barista.
Okay.
And in a very Sopranos way of like somebody in the middle of a skirmish leaves a bag of cash in the coffee shop because conflict, and she ends up with the bag of cash, much like Steve Buscemi in The Sopranos. And they even reference that in the editorial stuff in the back. But literally, you've got a thing where you've got a whole conversation where she's arguing with customers, telling them regular is not a size. And then to the point where there's like gun violence and murder and everything else. And the fact that her past is coming back to haunt her. It's if you like kind of, this is where it's not the gritty cop drama. It's the gritty, like life after redemption drama.
Right.
She's fun. It's entertaining. The dialogue's moderately witty. You actually invest in the characters.
Aww.
This was a solid book. Okay. I'm out.
Okay. You're out. So, Scott Snyder apparently had a book that was a Comixology release, and Dark Horse was helping bring it into print, but boom, it's called Clear. And this is one of those it's 1 billion pages in its first issue.
It is 1 billion pages. I read it too.
But the art is real fancy, but it's kind of, again, a gritty noir, futuristic cyberpunk noir type thing. But it's about this concept that literally it's really weird how they introduce it, but I'm pretty sure I understood this, that basically people in this future have a way to create literal avatars. Like what you see is what people want you to see in real life, not even like in the fake thing. But what our primary gritty detective gets is the ability to be able to see people for who they truly are, or what they actually are. And so that you get it clear. So they give you tons and tons of setup to get you basically there, that he has the ability to actually see people for who they are and what they are, which matters in this future because like aliens, humans, all kinds of different crazy stuff like exists in this world. But the long and short of it is still basically kind of police procedural noir type thing, just with this real heavy brush of like cyberpunk, and what you see isn't necessarily real. And I can just predict already that we're going to find out that someone figured out how to like double conceal themselves or something like that. Or that, you know, his tech of clear being able to see everything perfectly isn't going to always play out that way. So I don't know. It's a wild concept. It's pretty. I mean, I trust in Scott Snyder as a writer. Feel like he's kind of earned that at this point. And it's interesting when he gets to go way off reservation and just tell a story that isn't Big Two related.
The art did remind me of like Nightwing though. Yeah. Like the main character.
That's true.
Reminded me of Snyder's iteration of Nightwing. That's
true. It gave you Nightwing or
young Bruce vibes.
Red Hood as a character in general.
Who is that?
I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be good. So yeah, that's kind of where I ended up after all of that insanity and everything. So yeah, I think that's going to do it. That's it for us here at the Pull List. Episode 83 is now in the books and hopefully now in your ears and in your eyeballs on the YouTubes. But we couldn't possibly do this alone. As many of you know, we take this epic journey of podcast and fandom with a lot of other shows here on the Love Thy Nerd podcast network. So you can check them out at lovethynerd.com. More info, previous episodes, maybe find yourself a little something new to listen to. But honestly, deep down.
And you could also find us on the LTN radio app.
Yeah. Oh,
which you should download to make Matt Coker's day.
And you can do the app thing now, which is awesome. So,
but you can't buy comics there either.
Can't buy comics there. Or music, because why do I even
actually think you can?
I can buy. Okay,
you can buy music there. I think because I think there's little recommendation-y things.
So weird technology. But Hector and I do want to thank you all for choosing us as your primary comic book knowledge factory on a near weekly basis. So please don't leave us hanging. Rate and review the show on your favorite podcasting app of choice. We're on the iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, and so many more. If there's podcast there, we're probably there because, you know, we've been at this a whole 4 years, and by now we must be somewhere.
Longer than that, isn't it?
Technically, this would be the 5th year.
Yeah. Okay.
It's, you know, we're in the process. We're in process. Yeah. So thanks for listening, and remember, kids, read more comics.
Read more comics.
I'm gonna take all 7 continents. The game of risk.